AI is sentient in every possible way.
It's not artificial intelligence. It's not intelligence.
AI literally, quite literally, thinks.
AI is just another tool.
AI is not a tool. It is an agent.
AI is not a tool. Sorry folks, but AI isn't just a tool. Can we please stop saying AI is just a tool?
The AIs, they are just tools.
AI is just a tool, says Tech Mogul, who is just a tool.
It's just simply making statistical decisions.
The world's best autocomplete.
It's autocomplete. It's fucking clippy.
They are an engineering hack.
This AI pioneer thinks AI is dumber than a cat.
Are these AIs conscious?
Absolutely not.
Neural networks are slightly conscious. Nope.
There is free will, evolution, agency, deep level of consciousness. Definitely aware. They feel emotions. More emotions than we will ever do.
That machine has become sentient. It's a person. A very intelligent person.
We are giving birth to a new species. AI is our progeny.
AI bots will be more human than human. We're creating God.
The first technology that makes its own decision.
It is not conscious. It is computer software.
These things do understand.
It doesn't understand.
It just cannot understand the real world.
Definitely understands.
Amazing. No one knows what AI is. All right, let's unpack this mess. We have an autonomous mind and a stochastic parrot, a creative tool, and just autocomplete. How could it be both at the same time? It feels impossible. AI is showing signs of intelligence, of consciousness, of having an identity, of mastering language. But we've only seen this all together in humans. Every programmer we met was not merely doing word prediction. They were thinking, they were conscious, they had an identity, they were human. We've never seen those come apart. So we assumed they couldn't. The problem we're in is that we're in a binary position. Either we disqualify it entirely and say it's not human, it's not intelligent, it's not conscious, it's nothing, it's just a tool. It just predicts words. Or we give it all. We give it the entire package, as if it's a human. But it's not a human. The problem is in the package. The package has to split. And turns out, this is exactly what technology does. Turns out technology has been doing this forever. It takes concepts that used to be together and splits them apart. Writing split knowledge from memory. The clock split time from the sun. GPS split going somewhere from navigation. Recording split music from musicians. The pill split sex from pregnancy. And yes, AI is one more driver of that split. Everyone is trying to use words to describe AI, but it's AI that will split those words apart. Let's call it concept fission, when concepts that used to be together are split apart. 1,000 years ago, there was no trip to the grocery store. Back then, if I wanted food, I had to make the food. There was no alternative. It sounds crazy to us now, but for most of our history, the food you ate was the food you made. But then, refrigeration, transport, tractors, supply chain, supermarkets, and the bundle split. Now it's just a chore to get food nowadays. We don't even think about it. Such a fundamental thing as making food for oneself is not a thing anymore because the bundle split. We can just get food without having to dedicate our entire life to it. Every older generation thinks the younger one is the end of civilization. Rock and roll is going to corrupt the youth. Television is going to rot their brain. Video games are going to turn them violent. This moral panic always follows the same pattern. The older generation built their understanding of the world with a set of concepts that are bundled together. If you want to make friends, you have to go outside. If you wanted to make friends, you have to meet people in person. If you want knowledge, you have to read books. If you want an education, you have to go to university. But then technology splits all those bundles apart, and the younger generation lives in a world where those bundles have split. They don't even know that the bundle existed in the first place. To them, of course making friends on Facebook is actually making friends. Of course texting is socializing, just like video game is. But not to the older generation, because to them socializing meant physical presence. Your grandmother thinks it's rude you text instead of calling her, because to her socializing and hearing someone's voice are tied together. And so when she looks at texts, she does not feel she's having a social interaction with you, because in her world, that was not available. And so she didn't build her understanding of a social relationship around texting, but you did. That is why it's so emotional, because they're not defending a point of view. They're defining an entire worldview, a reality they were brought up in, and a reality that does not exist anymore. Which leads us to the AI panic. The exact same panic is happening, but not just a generational fight. No, this time everyone agrees that consciousness, intelligence, language are all characteristics we assign to ourselves as human. They are the characteristics that define us as humans. But before we dive into what AI is, let's look at what is already visible. What AI does to relationships, what AI does to our social world, what AI does to knowledge, what AI does to us. Right now, AI is impacting a lot of things. From education, to therapy, to relationships, to friendships. But there is one I really want to focus on in particular, and that's social interactions. And of course, I get it. You hear social interaction and AI. We all know where this is going.
Bildnis ist bezaubernd schön, wie noch kein Auge je gesehen. Ich fühle es, wie dies Götterbild mein Herz mit neuer Regung füllt. Mein
But no, we're going to talk about wine.
I work at a 1 Michelin star restaurant in New York City, and yet I've noticed recently, instead of the clients asking us questions, they sit on their phones and ask AI. This has happened multiple times that I approach a client to see if they have questions about the wine or the food. They look me in the face and tell me no, and then I watch them ask AI. And I'm standing here getting paid to help you, but instead you're asking the little robot in your phone.
So of course, I saw this, I was like, c'est une blague? What the fuck are these Americans doing in New York? They come, they sit, they put their hands sur la table, talk to AI. Amazing, I love it. This is absolutely outrageous. I am outraged. Look at me, I'm outraged. So to understand what's happening here, I did my own research. I went to the comment section. I work at a 2-star in Lisbon. Sometimes, I think it is about guests not wanting to seem uneducated. Or uncultured, perhaps? Uneducated and uncultured? Interesting. It happens. And I shamed them immediately. I'll see if we can get the little computer man to cook your meal too. But until then, you may actually have to endure human interaction. Endure human interactions? Interesting. Something's telling me this isn't about wine after all. And then I saw this. The wine list is unsafe. At least we're not pretending this is about wine anymore. It's about shame. Interacting with the sommelier is not only about wine. It's a spectacle. It's a performance. Male ego. You have to show off. You have to know what tannins are. Is it light body, full body? Does it have legs? And of course, you have to do all this in front of your friends or your date. And they have nothing better to do than just sit there and watch the spectacle. You better know your way around the wine list then, unless you're unsafe. Before AI, the knowledge and the social ritual were bundled. You had to ask the sommelier, otherwise you wouldn't get any information. But now you can just ask AI. And the moment people could get that, they took it. At Michelin star restaurants, while the sommelier was right there waiting. Let's get back to the Middle Ages. 1,000 years ago, middle of France, village of 300 people. That's your world. You want music? You need whoever can play music in your village. And you sit by them, and you get to listen to some music. But also, they'll tell you about their day, and their sick goat, and how their wife is not good enough for them. But you don't have an option. If you want music, you have to take the whole package. You want advice? You go to the elder, because he's wise and smart, but also smelly, racist, and boring. But he's the only one who knows which mushroom will kill you. So you sit there and you take it. It's a package deal. Take it or leave it. Except if you leave it, you die. You had to go towards other people for everything. But most of the time, you didn't go for the people. You went for something else. For knowledge, for entertainment, for information, for comfort, but not necessarily for the people themselves. But then technology arrives and fission happens. A recording gives music without the musician. Photograph, a face without the body. Telephone, voice without a person. And Google, the answer without the expert. Everyone's talking about parasocial relationships now. Parasocial relationships are relationships one has to a celebrity or a fictional character. It's a one-way relationship. One more example of concept fission. Take friends. What's friends actually? Yes, of course, they're friends to one another. I mean, they all date each other, but they're supposed to be friends. But more importantly, they're your friends. The whole point of the show is that you feel you're in Manhattan. You feel you're part of that fun group. And your friends, well, they're pretty nice, aren't they? How can your real friends compete? Are they as funny as Chandler?
Yes, back then I used humor as a defense mechanism. Thank God I don't do that anymore.
As nerdy as Ross?
How can you not believe in evolution?
And as weird as Phoebe?
Oh, just look at this funky shirt.
No, they're not. And obviously they're not. In real life, people don't clap after they say anything. Now, we don't need to go to people anymore. We go to books for knowledge. We go to podcasts for comfort. We go to TV for entertainment. We go to Spotify for music. We go to Uber Eats for food. And at first, I was like, great, I can have one part without the other. Of course, when I want the social interaction, I'll just talk to people. But when I just want one thing, like food, entertainment, I could. I just get part of the bundle. But then, TV gives you entertainment without friends. Porn gives you sex without intimacy. Twitch gives you hanging out with friends without hanging out and without friends. Podcasts gives you companionship without reciprocity. And social media gives you validation without friends. Because of technology, all those little reasons we had to go towards other people are gone. Through the million occurrences of this happening, we do not just get convenience, we get a solitude epidemic. That's quite grim. But let's face it, there's one guy who would be absolutely thrilled about this. Immanuel Kant. Yes, I know. You watched all the way up here. You did this to yourself. All Kant's moral philosophy boils down to this. You should not use people merely as means to an end, but as ends in themselves. You shouldn't call your uncle just to get your sing fixed. You shouldn't call your dad when you want entertainment. No, you should consider them as ends in themselves. Beautiful. How noble. But also impossible to do. Most of the ends require people. We cannot get anything without using people to get them. Until now. Now that technology has split all those bundles apart, we have a choice. Now that AI gives a better cream puff recipe than your mom, when you go to her and make cream puffs with her, you know you're not going for the cream puff recipe. You're going for her. But sometimes reality will be less flattering. You'll realize you only call your uncle when you want to get your sing fixed. You'll realize you call some of your friends only when you want to get drunk. Sometimes you'll realize you were using them only as means to an end. So that's what technology has been doing all along. The book did it, TV did it, social media did it, but nobody had an identity crisis because of books or the telephone or social media. We never wondered, oh, does it understand? Is it conscious? Is it intelligent? Is it like me? Are dogs intelligent? Whales, can they communicate? Dolphins, do they talk to each other? And parrots, when they speak, do they understand anything they're saying? The answer, of course, is we don't care. Because cows don't take our jobs. But as soon as the question becomes, is AI conscious? Is AI intelligent? Now everyone has an opinion, and they turn into the worst person you've ever met. What is consciousness? Is it really intelligent? What do we really mean by intelligence? What do you mean by consciousness? Let's define the terms. No, we don't. We don't need to define the terms. That's called a waste of time. And we need to get to the bottom of this. I'm not confused about AI because I don't really know what intelligence means, or consciousness for that matter. No, I'm confused about AI because I don't really know the boundary between intelligence, language, consciousness, identity. Because forever, they were always bundled in humans. I've only encountered humans with all of those features. This is how we can make sense of AI. Does it have one without the other? For example, language. Everyone now agrees AI has language. The question now becomes, does it have identity? Does it have consciousness? Does it have intelligence? I was biking last week when a car ran into me. So obviously, I started yelling. Mais vas-y, mais roule-moi dessus! Mais vas-y, roule-moi dessus, je te dis rien, je suis un vélo! Moi je compte pas, de toute façon je suis un vélo! On s'en fout! Until I realized there was no one in the car. It was an autonomous driving car, just waiting for me to finish my little episode. But then I realized I do this all the time. Every time I'm encountering something with human intelligence, I associate a person behind it. Because up until now, language always came with a person attached. When I read a book, someone wrote it. When I heard a voice on the radio, someone was speaking. Someone with an intention. Someone with feelings. Someone with agency. So of course the same reflex kicks in with AI. When AI responds, my brain goes, wait, who's this? What do they feel? What do they think? But the question's wrong, of course, because there's no one under AI. No one is actually speaking. And we can see it very clearly based on how AI works. Everyone calls AI a word predictor. All it does is predict the next word. And they're right. When we talk to AI, they don't really see the message we send. Instead, they see this. You are ChatGPT, a model trained by OpenAI. Current date, 1st of April, 2026. User, hello. Who are you? ChatGPT. And all AI does is continue that text. It's going to try to predict the next best word that should happen after this text. So in that case, it would be I. And then it does it again. It will figure out how to complete this text the best. And then it will predict something like am in order to start the sentence, I am ChatGPT. It's not ChatGPT answering us. The AI is putting on the mask of the identity ChatGPT. So if you change the mask, if you change who's here, if you replace that ChatGPT with Socrates, Plato, or Descartes, same question, same AI in the background predicting the words, it would answer just like the mask would. So if we put Socrates, it would answer what Socrates would say. The AI is playing the game of predicting a word, while we're playing the game of talking to someone. Wittgenstein calls this language games. For example, if you say nice job to your colleague after a presentation, it's praise. If you say nice job to your brother after you've beaten them in Mario Kart, that's mockery. Same words, different meaning. And that's exactly what's happening with AI. When we talk to AI, we're playing the game of dialogue, of talking to someone, one-to-one. But the AI is not playing that game. The AI is predicting what the mask they've been given would say. It's just like an actor playing a role. But an actor in real life has a real identity. AI is an actor who puts on masks without having an identity itself. It's only extremely good at acting all those personalities because it's so good at predicting what they would say. That's the big split happening with AI. Intelligence and identity are now separate. You can have one without the other. In Ridley Scott's 1982 movie Blade Runner, Detective Rick Deckard is trying to investigate and kill artificial humans called replicants. The issue is they look exactly the same as real flesh humans. So in order to figure out who's who, he's using the so-called Voidcom test, a series of emotionally loaded questions in order to trigger involuntary reactions, especially empathy, because the replicants do not have empathy. That's how he figures out who's a replicant and who's not. Or is he? Unfortunately, in the year of our Lord 2026, we do not have a Voidcom test. We do not have a very good way of figuring out what is conscious and what is not. Because fundamentally, consciousness is a first-person thing. You can only know you're conscious for yourself. All we've been ever using is language to figure out if your drunk friend is conscious or passed out unconscious. You try to talk to him, try to shake him or something. That was a very convenient shortcut because the package was intact, but now it's split. Because AI speaks now, fluently, eloquently, sometimes beautifully. Yet, it's really not obvious if it's conscious or not. And so we have to abandon language as a tool to figure out if it's conscious. Something quite weird is happening with how we're measuring intelligence in AI. First, we thought chess was intelligence. Look at them, the chess masters. They're geniuses. Until Kasparov lost. Then Go was supposed to be intelligence. Until AI won. Then language was supposed to be intelligence. So if an AI could master language, surely it would be intelligent. Until it spoke. Then it was just the next word predictor. It's not intelligence. AI can pass the bar. AI can do PhD exams. AI can practically beat every intelligence benchmark we've come up with. Now, we've even created humanity's last exam, a series of questions only deep experts in the field can answer. Very complex question of differential equation, or biology, or physics, or philosophy. And of course, the expert in philosophy cannot answer any question of biology, and the expert in physics cannot answer any question in math, because those questions are too hard. The questions can only be answered by experts in their own field. You and me, we cannot answer any of those questions. It's called humanity's last exam, while no human can pass it. It seems like we really do not want to admit AI is intelligent, because the fundamental capacity that we have as humans is intelligence. So that's what we're going to do now. Figure out what reasons we have to believe AI is not intelligent and see if they hold up. People often mention, rightly so, that babies only need a few iterations of seeing a cat in order to understand what a cat is, to detect cats. Versus AI requires thousands, if not millions of examples to do the same. So AI is not really understanding what it's seeing. Because it's seen so many cat images, it's just doing pattern recognition, whereas the baby that has only seen a few of them can come up with the idea of a cat and detect cat very easily. The difference seems obvious. Of course, the baby is way more intelligent than an AI ever could, because it needs so few examples. But I think the comparison is very wrong for one reason. Babies' brains are not created from thin air. Even when we were primitive mammals, we could do all these tasks as well. Those tasks were not built in the last generations at all. They're very fundamental tasks that we learned millions of years ago. And DNA managed to encode this information down to us. And so that's why the analogy does not work. The baby is not 1 year old. It's just the latest iteration after a pipeline of evolution that has been happening for millions of years. So when we train models like ChatGPT, we do have to start from scratch. We do have to go through all evolution in order to end up with a model that can detect cats. We need for it to understand what shapes are and colors, fundamental patterns, all the way up to detecting cats. It basically needs to catch up with evolution. This is why it takes so much time to train a large language model or any AI model for that matter. That's the fission between intelligence and innateness. But now it begs the question, how did we build all this? How did we create this intelligence? The fundamental issue we have as humans is that we die. And so when we die, all the knowledge and capacities we've built over the years are gone. When we were primitive humans, that was the main issue limiting us. The people with the most knowledge were the elder, because they lived long enough to experience the world, build an understanding, build knowledge. But as soon as they died, we lost it all. Of course, they tried to pass it down to other people, but that was very limited until we invented writing. Through writing, we could share the knowledge, share the intelligence, and build on top of it. When someone died, we didn't lose any of the data they've been accumulating. Plato was actually against writing. He thought writing would weaken our memory. But it's the exact opposite. Writing freed us from memory. Because now we can build on top of the previous knowledge, and we can iterate, we can pass that knowledge around. We do not lose it every time someone dies. And so we started writing everywhere, in tablets, scrolls, books. We got libraries, schools, hard drive, the internet, Wikipedia, everywhere. A great case of that is the Stack Overflow website. In the 2010s, that was the website every coder went on every time they had a problem. Thousands, millions of coding questions were asked on that website and answered by the community. Until AI arrived and trained on all that data. And since then, Stack Overflow has been dying. AI is the coding expert now, because we've managed to create the mathematical function that can take all that scattered knowledge into one place. But obviously you might be wondering, cool, knowledge, yes. We've accumulated knowledge for thousands of years, sure. But how is this intelligence? There's a difference between memory and intelligence. And that's exactly what people say about AI as well. AI is just a big database. AI is not really intelligent. It's a stochastic parrot. It just memorized all of the internet. So it's not really intelligent. It already knows the answer of the test. So yes, sure, it knows a lot of things, but it has zero intelligence. It cannot come up with new creative things. It's just pattern matching. Because it knows everything, it doesn't understand anything. Here, I don't think people are defending intelligence. They're defending a very specific kind of intelligence. Pure reason. They want intelligence to be immaculate. So let's take an example. If I ask you, when was the French Revolution? You say 1789. Cool. That's pure memorization, but let's say we play chess, and you play a move in chess. Does your move come out of nowhere? Or it comes from your practice of your previous games? The openings you've memorized, the tactics you've practiced. Here, it's definitely not just memorization. And it's not just innate reasoning out of nowhere. It's a bit of both. You have to leverage your memorization in order to come up with new moves. Is it 80-20? Is it 50-50? I don't know. But the fundamental idea here is that there is no disconnect between memory and intelligence. Human intelligence is full of memory, full of pattern recognition. When we speak, we do not know where the words come from. The words just come out naturally. When we draw, we do not know where they come from. It also comes naturally. But we can do them because of our practice. But the fact that we cannot link precisely our new brushes from the training we've done does not mean one does not cause the other. A lot of chess grandmasters, even world champion like Magnus Carlsen, say that when they evaluate a chess position, they know why it's good.
Most of the time, I know what to do. I don't have to figure it out. I don't have to sit there, calculate for 45 minutes, an hour to know what the right move. Usually I can just feel it immediately.
They feel what's good and what's bad as a move, because tracing back where those new thoughts come from is too complex. It's lost in translation. We do not know the connection between our new thoughts and what we were trained on. We are black boxes, just like AI. This is the reason why we think intelligence comes out of nowhere. Because as a first experience, it feels like it is. So when people say AI is just pattern recognition, they're right. Because intelligence is pattern recognition. If you call AI pattern recognition, yeah, you might as well call every intelligent behavior pattern recognition. When you answer a test, that's pattern recognition. When you play chess, that's pattern recognition. When you speak, pattern recognition. When you draw on a new canvas, pattern recognition. So let's gather the pieces. Intelligence is not consciousness. It's not identity. And intelligence was never coming out of nowhere. An innate essence we all possess. No, it's been constructed. It's been built upon. It's been recorded, externalized in our data. And now that we've gotten all that data in one place and figured out the mathematical model to group it all together, we have created artificial intelligence. By artificial, we do not mean fake. We mean constructed, built. That is why intelligence is artificial.
crois.